Welcome to Josh's podcast. Thank you for dropping in. This is the place where doctrine and life mingle. I hope you enjoy. Is beauty objectively good, or is it just a matter of opinion? Hey guys, thanks for dropping into the YouTube channel, and thank you for listening to the podcast if you are listening on Spotify. Please, if you haven't done so already, if you're watching this, subscribe to the channel and click the bell for continued notifications. If you enjoy this content, give me a thumbs up. If you don't, give me a thumbs down and let me know why you didn't like it. So, returning to this question, is beauty something that is objective? Is beauty something that it objectively exists, or is it something that is just the opinion of men? It's just an opinion, for example, that I think that flower is beautiful. Right? There's nothing in the flower in and of itself that is beautiful. I'm just projecting my opinion onto the flower. And you can apply this to any situation. A man with a woman, is the woman objectively beautiful? Is she not? Is it just something that the man projects upon her? When I call my wife beautiful, is she truly beautiful? Or is that just my opinion, right? Now, we have to be careful here. One thing I need to qualify with is that beauty can be a matter of opinion. For example, someone may not see something as beautiful, and another person might see the same thing as beautiful, right? So there's that kind of subjective perception, right? We're not talking about the opinion here. We're asking the question, what is beauty? Now, classically, scholastics used to place beauty among the transcendentals, unity or oneness, goodness, and truth. And kind of a subset of goodness would be beauty. And some people would just throw beauty in there as a fourth transcendental. So the classical list is 3 transcendentals: unity, goodness, and truth. And some people would throw beauty in there as a fourth. Others would just see beauty as kind of a subset of truth. So what is beauty? Well, these Ed Feser would call these transcendentals convertibles. They're convertibles in the sense that if something is true, it's automatically good, right? If something is true, it's good. And if something is good, it's true. Now, if something is good and true, it's automatically unified or one, right? Its parts come together to constitute the whole, and it does it rightly. So, if something is unified, good, true, then it's beautiful, right? In other words, if something is beautiful, it's also good, it's also true, it's also one. And if something is not one, if something is not good, if something is not true, then it's not beautiful. So there's an objective sort of rubric for what constitutes goodness. Hopefully that helps kind of get the line of thinking down, at least. After the Enlightenment, or at least during the Enlightenment, beauty was largely seen as a matter of subjectivity, and the natural sciences was really the only way to come to objective phenomenological knowledge. Prior to that point, however, you had the transcendentals, and even still you have people who presuppose those transcendentals and argue for them quite effectively as well. In science, let's take this apart and see how this relates to kind of this Enlightenment worldview where beauty is nothing but opinion. Does that really hold up? So the scholastic system with these 3 or 4 transcendentals, it links truth and beauty together. So if something is true, it's beautiful, all right? Which would be to say that if we find something in science and we discover it to be true, then by virtue of its truth, it is beautiful. It's beautiful to the extent that it's true. That's a different way of looking at beauty. And it will affect the way in which you look at art. You'll walk into like an art museum if you do that kind of thing. You'll watch a movie and you'll start evaluating its beauty, its production value, for instance, in light of whether or not it's good, whether or not it's true, whether or not it comes together to make up a coherent whole. Postmodern art seeks to get away from the transcendentals, right? It seeks to get away from anything that makes sense. So like you take a Picasso, for example, and all the eyes are messed up and the mouth is in the wrong place. The arms are all like, you know what it looks like. And so postmodernity is kind of this effort to get away from the transcendentals. It's this effort to get away from goodness and objective truth, unity. But ironically, in the postmodern age, people want unity, right? They want this oneness, right? And they almost emphasize that at the expense of the individual. So you get things like communism. Communism became very popular in postmodernity, and socialism and things like that. And so it eliminates the individualism. So with the modern left, though, you have this swing back to individuality and the rights of individuals, right? Which may or may not be rights, objectively speaking. We're just calling them rights, like LGBTQ rights or whatever. So you have this swing back to the individual, and everybody should be able to do whatever that he or she wants, right? At the expense of the unity. So with that, you have chaos, and so you don't have the unity, right? And the scholastic would say, well, since you don't have the unity, there's not beauty. Your society is not beautiful. Your society is not good. Your society is not true. It's chaos, right? Because unity and goodness and truth and beauty are all interlinked. It's like a golden chain of objective reality. You can't get away from goodness if you're true. And if you're true, you can't get away from beauty. And if you're beautiful, you can't get away from unity. That is a very, very backwards way of thinking about beauty in our world today. But even as Christians, I think oftentimes we see beauty in this way. We not in the scholastic way. We see it in the postmodernist way, or in the Enlightenments, in the Enlightenment way, where we might walk into a movie and we're not evaluating it by virtue of asking the questions: is it good? Is it true? Is it unified? Does it come together to make sense? Is the storyline, plot line good, and all that? And then on that basis, call it beautiful, call it a good movie, right? We don't do that. We really we walk out of something like a movie and we say, that's pretty good, and then somebody else will say, no, it wasn't good. And it's all just, okay, well, we just agree to disagree. Or we'll look we'll look at a Rembrandt painting, and two people might think I don't know what crazy individual who would deny the beauty of a Rembrandt painting, but you might have two people who look at the same Rembrandt painting. One of those people will praise it, right? Because they think it's praiseworthy. It's good, true. All the parts in the painting come together and make a unified whole, and therefore it's beautiful, and so it's praiseworthy, right? So one person's standing there praising it. The other person's like, yeah, I'm not so impressed with this. It's really not that beautiful. I don't think it's pretty at all. And then both men who are looking at the Rembrandt painting throw up their arms and say, well, we just need to agree to disagree. Beauty's a matter of opinion anyways, right? That is not how we should think of beauty. That is not how we should think of beauty. That is not how we should evaluate art. That's not how we should evaluate movies. I remember when Deadpool came out, and I would not go see it. I refused to go see it. My wife and I would not go see it. It's just too much untruth in it, right? Too much ungoodness, too much sin, right? And I'm not saying you can't really, this is kind of a Christian liberty thing. You can't really get away from all sin in every movie. So you have to just kind of go with what your conscience can handle and avoid rejoicing in iniquity, whatever you do, and try to glorify God in all things. So I'm not saying whatever. But we wouldn't go see it. And in hindsight, I look back and I'm like, there were people on Facebook praising Deadpool. I mean, and these were, Christians. Oh, it was a good movie, and there were other Christians saying, yeah, but it was like semi-pornographic, and it was not a good movie. We don't want to, we don't want to subject our minds to that kind of thing. And now that I look back at that, I'm saying, no, Deadpool was objectively bad. It was objectively not beautiful, right? It's not a matter of opinion. If Deadpool was full of lies, untruth, badness, sin, which are basically just traits that accrue in the midst of a privation of goodness and grace. If it was chaotic, then it's not a beautiful movie, right? A movie or any work of art, a car, an animal, it's beautiful to the extent that it does what it's supposed to. Glorifies God in what? Unity, goodness, and truth. Unity, goodness, and truth. The Bible praises unity. And in fact, it says the diversity, all the parts fitting together to make the whole. There's this unity and diversity, and when those two come together in harmony, that's beautiful. That's true. That's good. And if it's not those things, what do you have? Sin, iniquity, darkness, chaos. So we need to start evaluating these things. We need to start evaluating art. We need to start evaluating people's opinions, their philosophical positions. We need to start evaluating them in light of what's the truth, and then if it's true, it's, then you can say it's good. Then you can say it's beautiful. Then you can say it's unified. Or if it's unified, truly unified, then you can say it's good and true and beautiful. If it's beautiful, then you can say it's true, good, and unified. If it's good, then you can automatically say it's beautiful, true, and unified. So you see how they all interrelate and they lock together. They are convertible in that sense. So guys, I just wanted to come on here and talk about that a little bit. I think a lot of us, we've just fallen into the trap of seeing beauty as a matter of opinion. I mean, I still do this where, my wife and I will be talking about something and we'll come to a disagreement about, whether or not something was good or whether or not something was beautiful, like a movie or something, right? And really, one of us should be able to win, right? One of us, in theory, one of us should be able to win, because if beauty is objective, then, one of us is right about whether or not such and such movie was beautiful. Now, that's one example, but oftentimes, we just say, we don't talk about it any further. We like the movie, we didn't like the movie, and that's it. Our conversation doesn't get any more transcendental than that, right? And most of the time, that appears to be the case. So when you think about beauty, right, when you think about goodness and truth, think of them in terms of objectively, ontologically real things. Like, these are real things. Like, this video has a status. It's either good or it's bad. It's good to the extent that it's true. And if it's true, then it's beautiful, right? The White House is beautiful, right? But it's beautiful because it has all of these parts that come together to make up a beautiful, wonderful building, a functional building. But not only a functional building, it's a building that is constructed and artistically fit together so to make it's a good building. It's a good building. It's not just functional. It's not just something that works. It's something that is, it's pleasing to the eye. It's praiseworthy. We look at something that's beautiful, like a beautiful statue or something like that, and we say, that's beautiful. But it's beautiful, and our first impulse is to say that statue is beautiful precisely because all the parts come together to work rightly in forming that statue. And then on that basis, we say, this is good. And then because it's good, it must be true. And then because it's true, it's beautiful, right? Okay, so these things are objective. Guys, if you appreciated this, subscribe to my channel. If you didn't appreciate it, don't subscribe to my channel. And give me a thumbs down and let me know why. All right. God bless you guys. Have a wonderful rest of your day.